I'm going to show you how to use resin today. So the resin is on the counter with all the paper over here. So what you'll need to do is get an apron and gloves. There are gloves on the counter right here. You definitely want to wear gloves because the resin is very, very hard to wash off your hands, and that's also why you need to wear an apron as well. So resin is a chemical reaction. So you have the resin and the hardener. So there are these two little cups in this box of resin, and then the larger container is the resin and the smaller container is the hardener. You can find the directions on the wall. You need to mix 2 parts resin for 1 part hardener. So if you're just making something really small, if you look at the measuring cup, you can just do part of it. If you're making something larger, you want to do fill it up more. So you'll need a cup or some kind of container to mix the resin in, and then also on the counter are popsicle sticks. So I start with the resin. You have to push down and twist to open it. It's like a child safety one. It is kind of smelly too. If you need a mask, you can get one above the sink. And also you'll notice that I am doing this over the blue or pink mat. So 2 parts resin to 1 part hardener. So I'm going to pour the resin in first, and you have to do this exact. If you don't do the resin exact and hardener exact, they won't harden. It takes overnight to do it. So then I usually shake it a little. Then that is 2 parts resin to 1 part hardener. So I'm going to fill this up to the first line. Okay, and then make sure you put the cap on. So then what I'll do is I'll take the little cup and I will pour the resin in and scrape off the sides. If you are the only person doing it or nobody is waiting, please get a paper towel and wipe it off. Don't try to take it to the sink and wash it. It doesn't work, and you don't want resin in the sink. Never pour resin in the sink. Then you pour in the hardener, and then you have to stir it. It'll get cloudy and bubbly at first, and then it will turn to clear. So you have to do this for 30 seconds to 1 full minute. So this will make clear resin. If you want to color it, I'll show you how to do that in just a second. So 30 seconds to 1 minute so that it fully integrates. Again, if you don't do this correctly, it will not harden. And you'll notice it's starting to get clear. I'm scraping the sides as I go. You have several options for the resin molds. So the molds, I'm going to set this down and stir it while I show you the molds. So the molds, there are a lot of different shapes that you can use. And so when you are using the molds, you must use the resin spray right here so that it will release from the mold. So then what you'll do is pick out whichever one you'd like and spray it a couple times. It doesn't have to be totally saturated. And then if you want to add color, you can separate them into other little cups. I have these tiny little cups here. These are also good for measuring. If these are being used, or we can't find those, or if you just want one color, there's a tray of colors. So you just need a drop or 2 to make your color. It will be very saturated and dark. These are permanent inks, so you need to be very careful not to get those on your clothes. And you'll notice that will make it. And resin is transparent. So we also have add-ins. You could stir the add-ins in or drop them in the resin. So these are the add-ins we have. There's googly eyes, all sorts of things, glitter, different things like that. So I think I'll just take a little bit of the glitter and add it directly into the resin. Okay, and then you can either pour the resin directly into the tray, or for more accuracy, you can use a pipette and put it in the pipette. And this is especially good for small things. I'm just going to use the mold because my mold is big. Okay, so then I'm going to pour carefully the resin in there. And then if you have extra resin, you can use it so that we don't waste it. Then in order to recognize which is yours, there is masking tape and a Sharpie here. You need to write it. I usually do it on the, not the paper, but the blue or pink thing. Your name and class shape next to it. And then you just put that next to your piece here, like that. And then there's paper on the counter, just set it on the counter. Of course, other people can use the mold as well, if you just put your name next to it. And then you wait overnight and they pop out of it. And then any extra resin or anything that you're not using, you can ask if anybody else would like it. Otherwise it goes in the trash, not down the drain. And then of course you'll need to throw away your gloves as well. And then the next day you'll get to see it. Also, I have Altoid tins, and this would stay in there permanently if you would want to try. This is a stamp that in there, that wouldn't pop out of it. If you want to do two, you can do two and then glue them together with wire in between. I have wire, so you would make them, the two resin pieces, and then you would hot glue them together, or I have this other glue with the wire to make them hangable. I also have these little tiny canvases, so you could draw on it. Ask me how to use those, because when you pour the resin on, it doesn't have a container, so it's a little different method. So there are some methods other than just pouring them in the molds if you want to try the resin. Have fun.